You've been warned. Serial experiments Lain will cause psychological trauma if you aren't going into it with the right mindset. Make sure to watch until the end because I'll share exactly who this anime is for, and who this anime definitely isn't for. Have you ever had this eerie feeling like something just wasn't quite right? Maybe you've woken up early before the sunrise one time and decided to go for a walk and it just felt quiet. Too quiet. That's the kind of feeling you get while watching Serial Experiments Lain. This series has a unique way of confusing and intriguing you at the same time. It's not a typical anime with flashy animation or over-the-top action scenes. Instead, it focuses on mind-bending concepts and psychological themes that will leave you questioning reality. Now, I'm not sure if it's just the fact that anime at the time were just naturally gritty and dark, but Serial Experiments Lain really takes things to a whole new level. It's not just the visuals or the story, it's the overall atmosphere that makes this anime so unsettling, but don't let that scare you away from watching it. If you're someone who enjoys thought-provoking content and doesn't mind being pushed out of their comfort zone, then Serial Experiments Lain is definitely for you. It will challenge your perceptions of reality and leave you wondering about the deeper meaning behind everything. I'm Desiree Hunter, by the way, and if you've made it this far, you're a weirdo like me. No, but seriously, this anime is not for everyone. It's not a casual watch, and it requires your full attention to truly appreciate its brilliance. That being said, let's explore some of the psychological themes and philosophical concepts that make Serial Experiments Lain so unique and thought-provoking. Maybe watching this video and Slash or that series at midnight on a weekday isn't the best idea. Not that I'm guilty or anything. I am. But my point is, Serial Experiments Lain is a masterpiece in terms of making you say, what the f***? And that's what we're going to dive into now. This anime starts off with the mysterious death of a classmate and the introduction of a new form of communication known as the Wired. This depressing start quickly turned into a mystery as classmates began receiving emails from her, even though she was supposed to be dead. This leads our protagonist, Lain, to question her own identity and reality as she delves deeper into the Wired and its connection to the real world. As a quiet and introverted high school student, Lain is initially portrayed as a typical lonely teenager. However, her journey in the Wired leads her to question the concept of self and the blurring lines between reality and virtual existence. The series also explores themes of technology, isolation, and existentialism, creating a thought-provoking commentary on society's dependence on technology. Although this dead classmate is the catalyst for Lain's journey, it becomes apparent that she may not have been what she seemed. We'll get into that in a bit, but first, let's talk about the anime style that makes this anime so chilling. The use of color and sound in Serial Experiments Lain creates an eerie atmosphere that perfectly complements the unsettling plot. The muted colors and distorted noises add to the feeling of disconnect and confusion, emphasizing Lain's gradual descent into a state of uncertainty. When it comes to color grading, the series mainly uses dull and muted colors to convey a sense of monotony and emptiness in Lain's life. However, as she begins questioning her reality, pops of bright color are introduced to represent the Wired and its influence on her perception. This is what sets Serial Experiments Lain apart from other cyberpunk anime, as it uses color to explore the blurring lines between virtual and physical existence. So as you can see, by the time you get to episode 2, your brain is already working overtime trying to piece together the puzzle that is Lain's world. And just when you think you've figured it out, the series throws another curveball, leaving viewers questioning what is real and what is simply a construct of technology. The use of mixed media, incorporating elements of the internet and real-life events, adds to this feeling of unease and blurs the lines between fiction and reality. You, yourself, begin to question if you are real as you feel your frontal lobe being torn out by this surreal style. Even though it's just a show, the combination of cliffhangers, bizarre imagery, and thought-provoking themes makes for an intense viewing experience. Now that we've gotten a better sense of cyber psychedelic style that Serial Experiments Lain embodies, let's continue with the storyline and themes that make this series a cult classic. As the series progresses, we see Lain's reality start to blur as she delves deeper into the Wired, questioning her own existence and the nature of reality itself. Along the way, strange characters and events occur, leaving the audience with more questions than answers. But before that happens, let's go back to the start. Lain's father encourages her to give the Wired a try, claiming it is a great way to connect with others. This foreshadows a major theme within the show, which is the collective unconscious. In other words, a theory that proposes the existence of a shared pool of memories and experiences that we all tap into. From the beginning, we see Lain struggling to connect with her peers, feeling isolated and alone. However, through her experiences in the Wired, she starts to form a connection with others that goes beyond physical boundaries. This raises questions about the nature of human connection and whether technology can bridge the gap between individuals. As the two worlds begin to converge due to Lain's talents of upgrading and manipulating technology, we see the blurred lines between what is real and what is virtual. Digital identity and the concept of self are also explored as Lain's online persona starts to take on a life of its own. This raises questions about what it truly means to be human, and whether or not our digital identities can coexist with our physical ones. Lain's evil twin, or Wired Lain, also represents the darker side of technology and the potential consequences of being too connected. From Carl Jung's theory of the shadow self to the dangers of addiction and obsession, Serial Experiments Lain delves into deep psychological themes that are relevant in our modern world. The show also touches on societal issues such as privacy, surveillance, and the power of corporations. As the Wired becomes more integrated into everyday life, questions arise about who controls it and how much access they have to our personal information. This technological privacy invasion is paired with ESP, or extrasensory perception. With a segment about a program with the abbreviation KIDS, psychic abilities are also brought into the mix, further blurring the lines between reality and fantasy. So, as you can see, Serial Experiments Lain is much more than just a sci-fi anime. It's only 13 episodes long, and each episode is only about 20 minutes, but within such a short span, it manages to explore complex themes and ideas that are relevant in our rapidly advancing technological world. This anime came out in 1998, a time when the internet was still in its early stages and the concept of virtual reality was just starting to gain traction. And yet, over 20 years later, its commentary on technology and society is still incredibly relevant. This grunge-era anime has stood the test of time, showing just how ahead of its time it truly was. Beyond psychology and technology, the show was also exceptional at including spiritual symbolism and concepts. The opening sequence, featuring a young lady falling from the sky and landing on power lines, is an allusion to death and rebirth, symbolizing Lain's transformation throughout the show. This idea of transcending into a higher consciousness is also seen through the use of biblical references and religious imagery. The show also explores how our spirit can be thought of as software while our physical bodies are hardware. This raises questions about consciousness. Many spiritual leaders tend to agree with this concept, believing that our physical bodies are merely vessels for our souls or spirits. Serial Experiments Lain takes this idea and presents it in a unique, thought-provoking way. There's so much more to explore, and I'll be making more videos about Serial Experiments Lain in the future. But as I mentioned earlier in the video, there are some people who I think should actually stay away from Lain. Mental illness is also a prominent theme in the show, with Lain's struggle to distinguish reality from the digital world being a metaphor for dissociative identity disorder. This is something that should be approached with sensitivity and caution, as it can be triggering for those who have personal experiences with mental illness. Despite the dark and creepy undertones, Serial Experiments Lain ultimately offers a message of hope and growth. It encourages viewers to question reality, explore spirituality, and embrace the constant evolution of technology. The show ends in a wholesome yet somber manner, making you just want to give Lain a hug, if she was real. Through its complex storytelling and deep themes, Serial Experiments Lain remains a cult classic in the world of anime. It continues to spark discussions and theories, as well as inspire new works of art and media. This is a testament to its impact and relevance even over 2 decades since its release. On a final note, breakcore music lovers will also appreciate the show's soundtrack, which adds an extra layer of surrealism and intensity to the viewing experience. In honor of my love for Serial Experiments Lain, I invite you to check out my breakcore D&D and Jungle Beats album I made with 13 tracks, each named after the episodes of the show.